Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Friday's Report Out. Good to see folks on the call. We've got a really good three important presentations today, so looking forward to hearing all of these. So I think in the spirit of keeping us to time and going through the process, we'll go straight away to Bethany, hopefully, who's going to talk to us through around improving library membership process. So hi, Bethany.
Good morning, my name is Beth Tapster. I work in the Staff Library Service at LTHT, and with my colleague Sally Hall, I'm going to discuss a very basic but effective improvement project that our small team has undertaken in the last few months after I attended the LIM Intermediate course. The process that we improved is such a simple admin task that I feel almost a bit sheepish discussing it in this context, but we think that our experience demonstrates how versatile and effective LIM tools and attitudes are, and also why it's important to discover and tackle these small wastes throughout all sorts of different teams and functions in the trust. When I started the course, I had a few ideas for improvement projects that maybe seemed a bit more exciting than this one, but the Leeds improvement method made it clear that it was only by really listening to the people who are involved in a process that we can find out what the priorities for improvement are. And so it was talking to my colleague Sally about the frustration and waste in how we managed user registrations that made it clear we needed to start with this.
So our challenge was to modernise the way we register our new library users and to design a process that would ensure our staff details were kept secure and up to date. And we actually discovered that 50% of the paper registration forms that belong to users that were no longer active, or perhaps they had left the trust. So we weren't really keeping in with information governance. So the team challenge was to find ways to reduce the waste that we found. And these centred on a number of areas. So reducing the amount of staff time that it took, and the potential waste that perhaps we could be doing something much more interesting and helpful to staff, for staff. And the other one was a waste of resource, so principally paper. And also to reduce the defects in the process itself. So when we did looked at the way the process worked, we noticed that there were dead ends within what we were doing. And lastly, the waste of movement. So that is the actual physical movement of paper forms. And at this point, I'm going to ask you to picture me and my colleague lugging 19 lever arch files to and fro from our store cupboard. Each month, we would actually have to go through the registration forms and take out the ones people that had left. So, you're talking about roughly 10,000 paper forms. So it was all very good exercise for the biceps, but not much else.
The most effective LIM tools that we used in this project were probably spaghetti diagrams and process mapping especially. These were great ways of understanding exactly what was happening with our previous process and also how we all wanted it to work in the future. Taking the time to visualise the process like this didn't just illustrate the problems that we already knew about, but it also revealed some fairly major defects that had perhaps been studiously ignored in the past. At several points, it felt like we had opened a bit of a can of worms, and when we encountered obstacles, especially around IG requirements, that meant that our improvements were going to be a little bit more complicated than first hoped. There was maybe a bit of regret at having uncovered these issues. But because we had this LIM framework to guide us, and because we'd all now really clearly seen the waste in our process, we knew we couldn't continue to ignore it. The key to success with this improvement was collaboration, communicating openly and without hierarchy about things that weren't working. Although we struggled to find the time or opportunities to collect detailed metrics, the tools we did use had enough of an impact to motivate us. So thanks to this project, we have finally done away with paper registration forms altogether. We've also made use of Power Automate to minimise staff time spent doing basic data management tasks, as we really didn't want to just replicate the existing waste in a new digital system. These processes now take much less time, but even more importantly, they work properly. We've done away with the dead ends, and the user information we hold is now accurate, current, and complies with relevant guidance. Next year, we'll be moving to a regional NHS library management system. And although that means that some of the improvements we've developed will be short-lived, we're at least now confident of the quality of our data, our procedures, and also in our team's ability to adapt to change.
So in terms of what went well, well, it certainly raised the confidence of the team in using a more collaborative style of working. And it also encouraged cross-team cooperation within the wider medical education department and the information governance. And Beth made the library team feel more involved in decision making, and she really helped us realise that we could affect real change. And it was just as important was that the project helped to instill a newfound confidence in how we collect and store data, as well as I think it imbued a new way of thinking, and the LIM way basically. And you know that Beth was really instrumental in that.
So the key learning that we wanted to share with everybody is that there's no process in the trust that's too basic or too unimportant to be worth improving. Although what we do in our team isn't directly related to patient care, we're here to support all trust staff. Saving time and improving staff morale in our team by getting rid of inefficient, ineffective processes means that we improve our capacity and our motivation to deliver a better service to LTHT staff where it matters most. We did this project at a less than ideal time. We've got staff vacancies, a lot of change taking place. We had to keep the improvement really simple because of this. And although in future I'm keen to make use of more LIM tools for collecting metrics, quantifying improvement, we're glad that we found a way to make this change happen now. There's a lot more basic processes in our team that we want to improve, and we've already made a start with several of them. Because we successfully carried out this project and we worked in a really collaborative bottom-up way, all of us are keen to keep learning so that we can really integrate the Leeds improvement method throughout the way that we work, even if it does mean that we discover any more tons of worms hiding away in our processes.
Thanks very much both to Beth and team for that wonderful piece of work. I think, well, in the true spirit of the process, we'll carry on to the next and save comments and questions for the end. But just to say, I thought that was actually hugely inspiring. So well done to all of you. I think well done. That's really great. That. Okay. We'll go on then, if we may, to leader standard work in neurosciences. Lucy, are you with us, Lucy?
Hi everyone. Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Lucy Garrett. I'm the service manager for neurosciences. I'm here today with my colleague Tanya.
Hi everyone, I'm Tanya and I'm the patient services coordinator for spinal surgery.
So just going to talk to you today about a leader standard work exercise that we did within the spinal surgery admin team. The problem and the challenge of the background to this is I joined the neurosciences department back in November, and when I came in, the spinal surgery admin team had undergone an awful lot of flux. There had been a lot of churn in within the admin team over quite a prolonged period of time. During that time period as well, there'd been a bit of a change to the structure of the team, but because it had never been fully established, it didn't feel like that had really been seen, as well as everyone working under an enormous amount of pressure with spinal waiting lists, which are quite lengthy, as I'm sure many people will be aware, and the team feeling like they had a bit of a lack of clarity as to what their roles were because of all of these changes, feeling really stretched. Everything that was coming through as last minute requests feeling very overwhelming, very stressful and like additional work, and members of staff feeding back that they were struggling to fit in formal training and development, and it left people feeling not particularly satisfied in their roles. So when I came in, this is sort of the feedback I was receiving from Tanya and the team. Next slide, please. So the exercise we did was a leader standard work exercise, which, like Bethany, I had learned about in my intermediate LIM training. So I started that with Tanya, who it's fair to say was also feeling quite overwhelmed because of the environment and everything going on with the team. So we reviewed her workload. Tanya went through, documented every single thing that she would be doing on a regular basis in a week. We then went through that together as well with someone else in the department who had a lot of experience with another surgical specialty within the department, to review actually what could be dropped, what was really important, what needed to be added, prioritise everything, and see where we could reduce, even if we couldn't drop bits of work, to just make sure that Tanya actually had time to do what she needed to do. Then Tanya led on doing the same exercise with her outpatient team, but with myself there to support her, before then doing it with the inpatient team by herself, sort of leading it. So we had a good cascade there of continuing that work and developing it throughout the team. and went through the same thing of asking each person to individually track sort of and write down their regular workload, and then they got together as a team to agree what needed to change, what things could be dropped, and actually create a bit of that role clarity as well within the teams, because everyone was able to agree what each person would do. And throughout that process, I did a really good job as well of making sure that concerns that have been raised through one-to-ones around development, etc., were planned into people's standard work. And certainly throughout it validated people's workload. A lot of them, when we added up the numbers, they were coming up at higher than people's contracted hours a lot of the time. So it really did, validate people's feelings about why they were feeling so overwhelmed. But I'll hand over to Tanya in the next slide without too many more spoilers for the outcome.
Take it with you.
So for myself, as again quite a new member of staff into the spinal team, it was a really useful exercise for me to do for both myself and for the teams, just to understand what the full workload was, get to know the processes throughout the department. It really helped to establish the processes throughout the one-to-ones. Again, like Lucy said, understanding the concerns that are raised and making sure that we were doing something about those concerns. Definitely establishing a team purpose. A lot of the feedback I got when I joined was that people felt out of the loop, maybe not in constant communication, and not understanding what other teams within the department's purpose was as well. So we were able to reduce some of the workload and also drop some out of there as well, and obviously make sure the responsibilities throughout the bandings were correct. We were able to put a clear plan in place for those workloads for people who were struggling, but also it allowed me to set clear performance expectations for each team and in each individual throughout the department. We've had quite a high turnover, as Lucy alluded to before, so it's helped to sort our processes when we have our new starters in, and to help develop the way in which we train our new starters, and the new starters were able to understand how their work fit into the rest of the team. And it's been a really great divide of business as usual, but also making that time invest to save, so that people were feeling more in control of their roles and understanding that they did have the opportunity to develop as well.
And for myself as the service manager, it was really useful to have that assurance, just from informal feedback from the team, that actually they were feeling a lot happier in their roles, as well as knowing that actually people are spending their time on the right things, and that invest to save time is really key, and people feeling like they have that time there to be able to make the processes better, save themselves a bit of time in the future, and know that they've actually got the capacity to do it, as opposed to it feel like additional work.
So as I mentioned, what went well with this process was for the new starters to understand where they fit into the department. This has really gone hand in hand with the improvement processes that we've done throughout Spines as well. It's helped us to identify what the major concerns are and what we need to do to ensure that people are happy within their role. And as Lucy said, to create the capacity to be able to do that. It made sure that everyone was aware of what their individual purpose was, but also who had the responsibility within each team. Everyone feels a lot more in control now, especially with their workload. When I first started in the role, I did have to work very closely alongside all of the team members, which can obviously be a struggle with 10 plus members of staff to line manage. So they're now working a lot more autonomously throughout. And also the improvement that has caused with the patient experience. This is reflected in our PALs. We've seen a massive reduction over the last few months, and it's continuing to improve. So that has been a major thing of what's gone well with this process. So the learning from this process for me was definitely to give team members more time to be able to complete the exercise. We give them a blank form, ask them to fill in what they do daily, weekly and monthly. We were doing it in quite a short turnaround because obviously there was so much upheaval in the team, and it was really important for myself and the new business manager to understand the workloads of all the team members. But there are always things that pop up that people forget that they deal with quite regularly. So to have that extra time would have helped to support them in ensuring that everything that they had recorded was accurate. Another key learning for me was to make sure that I continue to focus on team purpose and individual purpose. It has been very easily lost previously, so I want to make sure that I continue that going forward. I'd like to repeat the exercise again with myself and also with my assistant patient services coordinator for when we do have all those vacancies filled. And again, this will help with the improvement methods that we incorporate into the department.
Yeah, and from my perspective, so that key learning bit that I put there, small and mighty. This has been a relatively small amount of time that has been spent on this leader standard work exercise across everybody, even for Tanya, who has had to do the lion's share of the work of having to do that with multiple teams. But the benefits of this, whilst quite difficult to quantify, have been huge. The feeling in the team is completely different to back in sort of November, December time. Like we've already talked about, people feeling more in control, etc., etc. But it's been a big sort of bang for buck exercise, I think, this one actually, and was really, really well suited to this team that had that sort of slightly chaotic environment they were working in, first of all, with a lack of clarity and a lot of firefighting. So the next steps from my point of view are to complete this with my management team throughout the rest of Neurosciences, with a view to them then doing that same cascade down to their admin teams, where we will hopefully then be able to share across the different admin teams and see if there are any learning opportunities between the different teams. So that's it from us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Fantastic, Lucy and Tanya. Again, really brilliant and inspiring presentation, and we come back to some of the real similarities around the themes with what Bethany and Sally told us first. So, but we'll go straight to Donna and Joshua for children's cardiac surgery, and let's hear from you around the RPIW. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Hello, my name's Jimmy. I've had the shared responsibility of leading this workshop alongside my colleague Sophie Williams. Our project brief describes why the team have dedicated our time and talent to this workshop. The area of focus is children's cardiac surgery. This service that has many interdependencies, as the patients require complex specialist care before, during and after their surgery. The demand for intensive care unit beds often exceeds supply, and this pressure leads to delays and cancellations, including for children who need cardiac surgery. Consequently, the waiting list for this life-changing or even life-saving surgery remains too long. For the surgical team, the frustration and uncertainty around not knowing when or if they can proceed with their cases is an almost daily challenge. The ward nursing team feel this uncertainty too, as they try to ensure children and their families are fully prepared for surgery, but are often uncertain if the surgery can or will go ahead until the very last minute. For the nurses and medical staff on the intensive care team, the pressure to create capacity on the intensive care unit is often relentless, requiring very difficult decisions to be made. We recognise that all the individuals in this complex process work incredibly hard. However, there can be a lack of understanding and appreciation of the contribution made by others. Patients are kept safe. However, the information vital for the process to be effective can fail to reach those who need it in a timely way, undermining trust and cohesion. Our sponsor challenge echoed the dual aim of this workshop: to be creative around ideas to reduce cancellations and delays for these patients, and equally to build foundations for more team cohesion.
Hello, my name is Katie. I'm an improvement specialist in the KPA team, and I was team lead for this RPIW workshop. This is our target progress report with the baseline measures for improvement. The lead time boundaries were the start of the process, which is the decision to place the surgery on hold or to proceed, and then the finish of that boundary is the patient going through the anaesthetic room doors. We carried out observations of 7 patients on their journey, and our measures show 3 quality measures of cancelled cases, number of late starts, and if the reason for the late starts was recorded correctly, then patient and staff satisfaction.
Hello, my name is Josh. I'm a business manager for the Children's Hospital and a team member and process owner for the RPIW. Our value stream map was built directly from observing the process of our paediatric cardiac patients' journeys to arriving at theatre over the last several weeks. This has provided us invaluable insight into the rapid workshop week. It illustrates that currently illustrates the current state, identifying the key steps of the process and the opportunities for improvement we've been able to focus on over the last 5 days.
Hello, my name is Karen van Dooyen. I'm a congenital cardiac surgeon and lead clinician and have been a member of this rapid improvement process. One opportunity to optimize PICU capacity is to identify patients that require less time in PICU. EA can be fast-tracked. Currently, this is an informal process driven by some of our anesthetists, and we aim to improve the identification of suitable cases. So from now on, we make this a formalized process, and in our weekly surgical scheduling meeting, we will identify patients suitable for fast track. These patients will be listed as a first case on the theatre schedule and also marked as fast track.
Hello, my name is Joan Aston and I'm the clinical lead for paediatric critical care, and I've also been a team member on the RPIW. The benefit of enhanced recovery is to improve our patient experience and also increase critical care capacity, and work has already been done on this pathway. Our plan is to de-escalate care and change staffing ratios at 4 hours to free up nurses and bed capacity on critical care. We also aim to improve communication between PICU consultants and sisters in charge regarding step downs and bed availability for cases, and we've tested this at various time points. We achieved NDT agreement to empower nursing staff to prepare patients for early discharge, and the process has also identified opportunities for further improvement, for example, 7-8 discharges and recovery in theatre. Next slide, please, Kirsty.
Hello, my name is Donna Webb and I'm the matron of Paediatric Critical Care and Cardiology, and I've been a team member and process owner in the workshop. The problem identified was that on occasion, the decision made at 7 AM by the nurse in charge in PICU about bed availability differed to the decision made at 8 AM following the whole Children's Hospital bed meeting, which then led to a delay in theatre start times. The aim was therefore to empower the team and help them feel they owned the process and feel supported in their decision making. There was a prioritisation protocol in place, but on review and discussion with the PICU Band 17, we realised it was no longer fit for purpose and did not provide the support and information needed to support robust decision making. The previous version had been written and circulated for comments, whereas on this occasion we discussed it as a team and created a new version together. This was then tested, and during this it became apparent that when decisions were being made, the information was then not always shared with theatres and or Ward 51. This therefore led to the development of an MDT model.
Hello, my name is Pete and I'm the team leader for cardiac theatres, and I've been a team member throughout this RPIW. Although this week was focused on cancellations because of PICU bed availability, it became apparent very early on that a large majority of the cancellations were multifactorial, but not necessarily acknowledged as such. And it was very much a who blinks first situation when it comes to a reason for cancellations. Working through this, we identified that if there was an early acknowledgement of struggles and challenges from all stakeholders in this process, this would help in decision making going forward. When we looked at how we could make this happen, we then looked at how we could make this happen, and so our morning huddle was born. So at 7:15 AM on PICU, we hold a short 5-minute huddle. At the huddle are representatives from PICU and theatres who can detail any issues or challenges that will stop a first case from proceeding to theatre. The outcome of this huddle is then put onto PPM to stop multiple phone calls from theatres, wards, patient flow coordinators and the like. If all stars align and everything is good to proceed, this is the end of the process. On the occasions where there are issues, these will also be detailed on PPM and a time given for further updates to once again stop multiple phone calls.
The change in the process to confirm the first case also highlighted the need to improve the process for confirmation of the second case. A huddle is also used to confirm PICU availability for the second case, and this outcome is shared with theatres. Theatres then need to confirm their capacity to go ahead for this case and will inform the board with the phone call. If no theatre capacity, theatre will also inform PICU so that the PICU bed can be reallocated.
Hello, my name is Warren Mustafa and I'm a paediatric intensivist as well as a team member of the RPIW. We identified a need for regular and active data sharing for paediatric cardiac surgical activity, challenges and targets between all stakeholders. Our aim was to hold weekly 10-minute meetings to reflect upon the previous week's PRCU activity, including days offered and refusals to admissions, cardiac surgical activity, including cancellations, review reasons for cancellations and current state of waiting list, as well as share targets for the next week with highlighting any concerns or special situations. We managed to identify sources for baseline data and how to share it on a weekly basis. Our first meeting was held yesterday. That was attended by our business manager, KPO team member, cardiac surgeon, intensivist, PRC nurse in charge, and senior nurses. The cardiologists are also keen to attend future meetings. The meeting lasted 10 minutes, and the key issues for next week were identified, including a patient on the list who has been cancelled 4 times previously. We received positive feedback from all stakeholders. It was constructive use of their time and would lead to better understanding of challenges and targets of the team. Our action now is to have weekly snapshot meetings every Thursday at 12:15 on PRCU, which will be attended by all stakeholders. We will collect feedback to ensure data relevance and improve the process with time.
From the initial staff feedback we collected before this week, we identified that 80% of staff did not agree that they felt valued throughout the current process for our patients. We realised that the opportunity to collaborate and share experiences in a safe space hasn't existed, but we know that this needed to change. We've not been able to test anything particular this week, but the plan is to create a face-to-face 30-minute forum running every 4 weeks. The dual focus will be on well-being and improvement and understanding each other's roles. But what we need to do is identify a mutual lead to steer the conversation in a safe and empowering way. From feedback that we collected from staff this week, there was pushback on including consultants in this forum, but we agreed that we needed to create an inclusive space for everyone involved. Our idea to support this is to include psychologists to help create this and encourage positive conversations. We're hoping to achieve improved morale and strong collaborative relationships across all of our teams. And we'll be really interested to see the attendance numbers moving forward as this progresses, and we'll revisit the staff feedback and collect new data to see how people are feeling valued throughout the process.
Good afternoon. My name is Ronnie Adam. I'm a QI partner and I've been a team member throughout the week. My role in the team is to provide outside eyes and a different perspective. What I learned and observed as a QI partner was the huge complexity of the objective, the number of departments that were involved, and the commitment of everyone within the team and outside to find a way forward. Key points that I've taken away are the importance of the patient and family, the importance of staff at all levels, and in particular their morale and stress levels, the importance of teamwork across all departments, and perhaps most importantly, the importance of understanding each other's challenges.
This is our final target progress report for the week, which shows a reduction in lead time and cancellations. We haven't quite met the target for our late starts yet, but we have actually improved that to only 12 minutes past the start time, so that's a significant improvement as well. So we've got lots more to do in the next 30 days, and we're looking forward to seeing the improvements there in our metrics.
So a couple of summary learnings from me as workshop lead, sharing with Sophie. We've heard from Ronnie, and also it permeates the other presentations which we've been had the pleasure of listening to earlier about the value of walking in their shoes, seeing it from the perspective of others. Because if we're doing that, we can be shifting the dial that you can see outlined on the screen, thinking about how we can improve our process, using facts rather than opinion, thinking about the future rather than faults in the past. So with that, we've established this week a really clear intent, a shared intent around how we'd like this process to be. We've implemented some changes, and you've heard there's more to come on that. And we really look forward to presenting our progress at 30, 60, 90 days, because it'll be at that point we can demonstrate the impact for our people and our patients of the really hard work that's gone into this week. So final slide, thanks Kirsty, is our thank yous to people who've joined us in the room: Amy, Jenny, Sian, David, Sarah, Debbie, who haven't presented today. All those people in this complicated pathway have offered their time and perspective, and an acknowledgement of our sponsors, Joe and Colin, who have been supportive throughout the process. Thank you. That concludes our report out.
Thank you very much to the whole team. Everybody there, and it's great also to see some of the other team members, I think, on listening in as well. So well done for that fantastic RPIW piece of work. and great for all of these actually to have been really applied to some really difficult and challenging areas within the organisation. I know paediatric cardiac surgery has been, continues to be a real challenge for us. It's really important that we can continue to improve. So I'm going to open it out for questions first off. So anybody want to come in with a question for any of our great presentations? So while people are thinking about that, I'm interested perhaps just for going back to Bethany and Sally in terms of what you felt the key thing for getting kind of the sense of participation in it, given that you started by saying you thought maybe it was too basic a process to kind of engage people in. What do you think the learning that you got out of that was?
I think talking to people is really, really basic again, but just discussing it really openly and going with an open mind to what are the problems, what's annoying people, what are people actually finding to be the rocks in their shoes when they're working, and then kind of incorporating it into the existing meetings that we have, and using the tools to make it a little bit more sort of formalised, rather than perhaps in the past it could have been a bit of a moan about a thing that's annoying without ever really getting to the stage of finding the solution. And I think what LIM has done for us is just give us that tool to put a solution in rather than moan.
Yeah, it's quite tempting to start looking for blame. You know, why is it taken us this long, or why has it been such a problem? But you know, you've got to get over that and look for a solution. If you've got a problem, look for how to rectify it. And this LIM tool is excellent at that. And it was a pleasure to work with Beth.
Great, thanks very much both. I think that's really powerful in terms of thinking about what we focusing on what we can achieve and looking at what we can do to make things better. So brilliant, really good for that. Tony, I can see you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something that I put in the chat, but just in case people haven't seen it in the chat, we've come through some dark days over the last 3 years, to say the least. What is being presented today is that we actually have a way of working which is going to carry us into a brighter future if we stick with the processes that we know work. And what's been demonstrated today is that these processes do work. So it's really important that we come together on these Fridays and celebrate that. But I think it really points to a better future.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. I think that's absolutely right. And I think our, you know, we've been working with Leeds improvement method for, you know, eight or so years now, and I think what we've heard today, I think from all the teams, been a real sense of a genuine kind of traction of the commitment to the method right at the front line, which of course has always been our ambition. I was going to ask, I can't see anyone, I was going to ask Lucy and Tanya about the value adding work that you did, or perhaps more pertinently the non-value adding. Do you have any sense of kind of how much people were doing that were the bits that you got rid of with the standard work exercise?
That's a very good question. Off the top of my head, you got any numbers in your head, Tanya? Because it varied a lot by team member, I think it's probably fair to say. When I think about your exercise, when we did that to start off with, I think we probably shaved off approximately 3 or 4 hours a week, generally in meetings that weren't adding a lot of value. And so we managed to consolidate some of those so that you were able to still feel like you were communicating with your staff, and that everyone was still going to feel involved and aware of what was going on. But rather than having to repeat the same message 3 or 4 times, managed to consolidate that up, and then managed to sort of reinvest that almost in some more of in a couple of different areas, being either one-to-one conversations for some of those that are in and of themselves really value-added conversations that weren't happening as regularly as we wanted to. For yours, it was sort of a combination of, these are the things that I'm doing, these are the things that I want to be doing, and I just can't find time to. So it was sort of repurposing a lot of those times. So some of it was meetings. I think with the admin team, certainly from the outpatient's point of view, there was clunky processes. So there were a few things that it was just, this is taking this long to do, and it feels like it should be a lot quicker. So where we went, say someone's spending 4 hours a week on a task, actually, if we spend 2 hours a week investing in improving the processes, it won't take long before actually you're not going to have to spend 4 hours doing that task. Is there anything else you'd like to add on that, Tanya?
No, but that's a really good example for our rota build. So at the moment, with previously how it was working was our assistant PSC was having to build clinics every week, because this is the process that's been adopted over COVID. So we've really spent a lot of time investing, speaking to the consultants one-on-one and designing those clinics in a way that works for both the consultant and the patient, which has been a really valuable exercise, which has actually come out of this leadership standard work. It's something that we kind of knew was an issue, but not to the extent until we actually carried out this exercise. So I think that's probably one of the most valuable points that we've reduced time in.
Definitely, you're spending multiple hours a day doing something that it's now down to well, probably a quarter of that.
That's fantastic. Thank you. That's really really helpful. And I think sometimes when people feel they haven't got enough capacity to do things, it's really good to be reminded that actually all of us can be spending our time doing things that aren't the right things for us to spend our time on, and actually if we can improve some of those processes, it can be a real help for teams. Ramesh.
Hi, sorry, it's Catherine Penrose, one of the PICU consultants. I'm just going to borrow Ramesh's phone because our computer's got no mic on it. I can see I wasn't involved in this KPO for cardiac services, but I have been involved in a major cardiac review a number of years ago. The same issues remain as were evident previously, where basically patients never get to theatre for 8 o'clock, etc. The same issues that were identified then are being identified now, and the same issues identified then are not identified here, which were that basically we cannot get our patients out of PICU, and that is our biggest blocker to bed availability. We can't get our patients to the ward. We certainly can't get our patients back to cardiac services. So I can identify all alike patients to return and to wards or to leave the PICU, but the practicality is that does not occur. So we're waiting and waiting, and we're having promises of bed availability that never materialise, which means that I have nursing staff looking after patients, doubling up, tripling up. So that is the practicality. If we want, as we are a production line, and we can't look at any area in isolation. If I can't discharge my patients, other ones can't come in, and that has not been addressed, but is a major issue as far as I'm concerned, practically, as an intensivist who's worked at the trust for 23 years.
Okay, thanks, Catherine, for that. That sounds potentially like something for Jimmy and his team to be writing down as a potential RPIW of the future, I think, to think about how we might look at some of those outflow challenges. Kuram, you want to come in?
It's John to Catherine's comment and say that we've been well aware throughout the workshop that the discharges of the patients from PICU is a major issue, and that's also been clearly demonstrated through this week. But what we've done today is work on the first part of the enhanced recovery pathway, and in order to make the pathway work seamlessly, we have to work it through from beginning to end. So there's a plan in place to work on the PICU components and then also on the discharge component. but the discharges require a collaborative effort from the whole hospital and is a much bigger project. And there is work underway to start hospital-wide critical care meetings to try and address some of those issues. So that just wasn't the remit of this workshop. And we're also not able to tackle all of those issues in the space of 1 week.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I think that's really important. And I particularly like the last slide of the team's presentation around a theme which actually I think has come into the, we're just near the end now, but coming through all of these presentations, actually, it is all about us as people and working with each other to try to find solutions collaboratively. And I think that's been a really two things for me. I think one is the people theme, and I know some of these presentations have been kind of frontline patient facing and others haven't, but it's really important that everybody who works in Leeds teaching hospitals knows that they're of critical importance to how we deliver high quality care to patients. So whether you're working in library services or wherever, neurosciences or paediatric cardiac surgery, we're all here to try and improve the quality of care we can deliver our patients, be that via our colleagues or ourselves. I was also struck by the real recognition, which we know from the methodology, is that small changes can have a big impact. And actually sometimes what we've been guilty of in the past in this organisation and indeed others is thinking that in order to have a big impact we have to have a huge change in something, but actually the realization this method has consistently told us is that small changes can release lots of impact for individuals and teams, which can be really powerful and really motivating and give people a real sense of purpose. So it's been a fantastic report out. Thank you all of our teams for 3 fantastic presentations. The KPO team, of course, always for the support and encouragement and sponsorship, and for participants who very kindly joined to listen to the work that's been presented today. So well done, everybody. That's the end of Report Out.